Hi, everyone. Hello, and thanks so much for joining me for tonight's live. For those of you who don't know me, I am Kimaya. I'm a social media strategist, but sometimes I refer myself as a social selling strategist because I love helping businesses create more sales by using the power of social media. I'm so happy to welcome you to tonight's chat. So for those of you, I can't tell who's online, but for those of you who are here, please let me know your name in the comment box. Also, if you could, please share out this live or tag a friend so they too can watch this on the lot while it's live or during the replay. Hi, I see someone just logged on. Thank you so much for coming tonight. If you could, please let me know who you are so I can say hello. So today we will be chatting about how to nail down your ideal client in 3 easy steps. But first, let's discuss why it's important to know your ideal client. I'm trying to see. Hi, Keisha. Thanks so much for joining. I'm so excited you're here. Hi, Raven. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, so today I was just telling everyone exactly what I do. I'm a social media strategist and I actually help businesses utilize the power of social media. And tonight I am going to be talking about how to nail down your ideal client in just 3 easy steps. But before we discuss that, what I want to do is talk about the importance of knowing your ideal client. Why is it important? Well, the whole purpose of understanding your ideal client is really ultimately for marketing. You want to know your ideal client so that you can create the content that will appeal to them. So it's as though you're speaking directly to them. You want to understand their struggles and their pains. You want to know what type of lingo that they use in their niche market. And you want to make sure that your marketing objective is to really get into their heads. And all of this is done by understanding who your ideal client is. So, nailing your ideal client will help you market your business easier and more efficiently and effectively. You'll be able to concentrate on marketing specifically to your ideal market and not to everyone, which isn't effective at all. So, thank you, Raven, for sharing. I appreciate it. So today's live stream is for you if you are a service provider, a creative entrepreneur, a coach who is trying to attract the right client, who wants to increase their sales, and your small to mid-sized business. So if you are just starting your entrepreneurial journey, if you're getting clients but they're not the right clients, if you're wanting to engage more with your audience on social media, and if you want to nurture your existing audience so that they can go from just being in the audience to becoming fans, to becoming raving fans who want to become clients. So, yes, Raven, I see your comment. Marketing to the ideal client is not for everyone. Then this live is actually for you. Finding your ideal client is an important part of any business. So that is why when you Google ideal client, you're going to come up with a ton of information. And most of it, hi, Matt. Hey, Matt, thank you for joining. I was just talking to everyone, and I'm talking about right now the benefits, well, the importance of finding your ideal client and how it's extremely an important topic, and how when you Google, you're going to find lots of information on finding your ideal client. And so that is why you're going to find tons of workbooks and workshops that are going to teach you on how to create your ideal client avatar. So perhaps you're even familiar with this workbook. It's a generic workbook that looks more like an application kind of, and it's a form with lots of information that basically gets you to list who you think your ideal client is. You're going to mention I think that you have a name that you can provide for them. They want to know what their age is, what type of car they drive, if they're married, if they're single, if they have children or not, if they have dogs. I mean, it gets really, really detailed. But then there are also the exercises where you're asked to create a Pinterest file or a vision board, and you're supposed to cut out pictures of who you think your ideal client is and put a visual board together that gives you a feel or an idea of what their likes are, and who they are as a person to help you to get to know them better. So please tell me in the comment box if you're familiar with any of these exercises. The first one was just the ideal client workbook avatar. And then there's the Pinterest exercise where you collect and gather pictures of your ideal client. So if you have done any of these, then put a 1 for a yes. And if you haven't, put a 2 in the comment box. And I'll look to see what you guys say. Okay, Larissa. Hey, Larissa. Thanks for joining. So you are very familiar with these exercises. Okay. So, and Raven, okay, you too. All right. Well, great. So you totally are going to understand what I'm going to say in the next couple of minutes. For these exercises, the Ideal Avatar Workbook, these are typically focused on getting more information about their demographics. And I find that there's a difference between getting into the demographics of your ideal client and the psychographics of your ideal client. So what do I mean by that? All right, so the demographics focuses more on their traits, such as if they're married or single, what type of car they drive, if they're married, if they have a dog or not, if they have kids or not, versus psychographics. And the psychographics is really getting into their minds, right? So you're focusing more on what they're thinking about. Think about it. When it comes to nailing down your ideal client, is it really important to know their hair color or the color of their eyes, or if they're, knowing if they're married or not could be very helpful. But why not focus more so on their thoughts, such as what are their biggest frustrations? What keeps them up at night? What motivates them? What inspires them to get up in the morning? What do they wish their life would be like, say, in 6 months, business-wise? Or what is the one thing they would like changed? So to me, understanding their psychographics makes more sense. What do you think? Tell me if you think that understanding what's in their mindset is more important. For example, if you agree, then put a 1. If you're not sure, put a 2. So personally, I tried completing a client avatar worksheet, but it just didn't work for me. I was actually frustrated. Do you know why? Because I felt as though I was making up stuff. I felt as though it wasn't what was really on the mind of my ideal client. It was more what I thought, what I was thinking was on their mind, right? So it was just making up stuff, and it just didn't work for me. So I didn't find it helpful. So I learned another method, and that's the method that worked for me, and that's the method that I want to share with you guys tonight. So instead of making things up, it made more sense for me to answer those questions with a real person in mind. So when you think about it, we've all come across someone, or we may have even had a client, that one client that we felt was our dream client, that we absolutely loved and got excited about the project and would want 10 like them, right? That is actually your ideal client. So, and if you don't have that one client, or you haven't had that one client yet, I'm sure you know where they may be hanging out. So with that said, I created a step-by-step guide that will help you nail down your ideal client in just 3 easy steps using an alternative method that's different from what you typically find on the web. So I am going to be taking you through some of those steps that's found in this workbook. So if you guys have access, and it's not too complicated, if you could go to www.kimmaya.com. I actually put it in the first comment So if you could click and download that workbook, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to briefly go over some of the highlights in that workbook. I'm not going to cover it in detail, but I am definitely going to bring out some of the main points to help you nail down your ideal client in just 3 easy steps. So, how can you nail down your ideal client in 3 easy steps? So, step 1. Write down the name or the names of the individuals who are your dream clients, or those that who you've come across with that you would love to work more with. So just write down, if you have more than one, write down all of their names. Okay. Now, for those of you who don't have an ideal client, oh, you're welcome, Raven. For those who don't have an ideal client in mind or have never come across an ideal client, think about some Facebook groups where you know they hang out and write down the name of it. If you have more than one, the more, the better. So write that down on a piece of paper as well. Okay, so that's step 1. Now, step 2, I want you to start to think of some questions that you would like to ask them that would actually help you understand them better. So I'm going to give you some examples of some questions that you could ask. Okay, so the whole point in this exercise is for you to really get into their heads. You want them to feel as though you understand them completely. So in order to do that, you have to ask some questions that's going to draw them out. So here are some ideas, okay? How about, what are you struggling the most with around? Oh, okay. Sorry you can't find the link. I'll go ahead. Let me go ahead and type it now. Matt, I just saw your message that you said you don't see the link. It's www.kimmaya.com. So I'm going to show you, and it should come across the screen. So that's the link. So anyone that would like to download the workbook, go ahead and download it. Okay, so again, step number 2 was to come up with some questions to ask. So here are some examples of some questions that might help you to get into their psyche, into their mind. How about, what are you struggling the most with around whatever your offer is? So mine would be, what are you struggling the most around with social media? Or what are you struggling the most around getting engagement with social media? So whatever it is, whatever the service is that you offer them, go ahead and put that in to get their thoughts as to what it is that they're struggling. A second question that you could ask is, what would be a magical solution to this problem? What would help you to resolve this issue? A third question you could ask is, if this problem was removed, how would it change your life? What is the transformation? Hi, Priya. So happy to see you. Thank you so much for coming. If this problem is removed, how would that change their life? So these are just a few examples. I mean, go ahead and think about some other questions that will help you understand and to pull out of the potential client what it is that you need to know so that you can create products or services to fit their needs. Okay, so that's step 2. So remember, step 1 was writing down a list of names or a list of groups, either on Facebook or LinkedIn or even Google+. The second one is to create maybe about 10 questions. You don't want to ask too many questions of open-ended discussions you could have with them. And then step number 3 is reach out to them and ask them for an interview. You'll be surprised if you tell them that you're doing market research and that you are trying to improve a product, a service, or you want to serve them better. People are more than willing to give you 10, 15 minutes of their time for a quick interview. And if you offer them maybe like a $10 Starbucks gift card, or maybe a percentage off of your a package, you'd have people that would be willing to go ahead and let you interview them. So think about how you can reach out to them. Just come up with like a nice little note if you're going to post it on Facebook or even LinkedIn, come up with a nice little blurb to ask them and let them know why it is that you'd like to interview them. And of course, if you know an individual that you can ask, just reach out to them and let them know that they're your dream client and you would love an opportunity to talk to them further. Um, and more than likely they'll say yeah. So those are the three steps. So now for the bonus. So step one was to write down a list of names or a list of Facebook groups. Step two was to go ahead and to create some questions that you can ask them. And then step three is to actually reach out either to the individual person or to the Facebook group and ask them for an interview. Now, once you get this interview, definitely try to do it where you can interview them via Skype or Zoom. Um, and if you could, let them know that you would like to record it because you want to be able to go back and review. But definitely let them know that you want to record it. And if for some reason they won't let you record it, then just take really good notes, really good notes. So once you have all of that, then the next thing to do is to analyze the data. So what you should do is if you get 3 people to interview, ask them all the same questions, and then look at the questions and see where there are some similarities with regards to what their pains are, what it is that they're struggling with, what it is that they're trying to, what's holding them back from getting where they want to go. Analyze it, see what the common thread is between all of them, and then write that down. And do that with all of the questions that you ask. Make sure you pay attention to the language that they're using, because that language is going to be so crucial and so important for you to use when it comes to creating and doing your website copy or your freebies. Because once you know what lingo they're using, what the terminology is that they're using, then you can go ahead and put that in the writing, and that is where you're then able to reach directly to your ideal client. Because if one of your ideal client is feeling that way, then you better believe that all of your other ideal clients or those that are in a similar situation are going to be thinking the same thing. So definitely use that to your advantage when it comes to your marketing. So that is the 3 steps plus a bonus on how to nail down your ideal clients. If you guys have any questions, please, by all means, let me know. I'm looking in the comment box to see if anyone has any questions. So if there are any questions about the steps that I mentioned, please definitely put it in the comment box and I'll be more than happy to answer it. And if you think of something later on, definitely go ahead and go ahead and write it, and I promise I'll go back through all of the comments and I'll answer any questions that you may have. So once you've nailed your ideal client, you will definitely be able to understand their pains and their struggles. You'll have the language and the terminology that you can use for your website copy, your freebie creation. You'll be able to speak to them and they'll feel as though you're in their head, that you understand them perfectly. And this is the knowledge that will definitely help you build that connection between you and your ideal client, and it will prove invaluable even when it comes to your social media, because once you know what it is that they're looking for, what it is that they're concerned with, you can tailor make your content specifically to help them with their needs. So pinpointing your ideal client is crucial for all entrepreneurs. Once you've nailed your ideal client, you'll be able to attract your dream clients. Your dream clients will feel connected to you and view you as an authority in your niche. So it will also help you to nurture your relationship with them and help you to build and engage with them on all forms of your marketing strategy. So again, let me know if you have any questions. Let me see, Larissa, how many people do you recommend talking to? Good question, Larissa. I would say about 5, but you could do it with even 1 or 2. But I wouldn't do more than 5. But you could do more than 5. But I would say between 1 and 5 would be ideal. That gives you enough information to do the analysis that you'll need to find out what the common themes are of their concerns and their struggles. So good question, Larissa. Thanks for asking that. Um, Again, please go to www.kimmaya.com and download your free workbook. This workbook will take you through the process even further. It's very detailed, and try the steps in there and let me know what you think about it. Let me know if it helps you understand your ideal client better and helps you to narrow down um, finding that perfect client that you just love. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you could please share out this live with others so they too can learn. Also, you'll notice that there's a subscribe button so that this way, whenever I do Facebook Lives, you'll at least get notified. And I would love for you to join me at my next one. But again, thank you so much for taking the time to uh, visit me and watch my live on a Sunday evening. I really, really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you guys again. And if there aren't any more questions, oh, let me see, Matt, you said, what a good approach. Trade shows, website forums, I guess it's product related, but what's your opinion on these things? I'm not sure what you mean, Matt, about the trade shows, websites. I guess, yeah, you could definitely, when you're at the trade shows, you get to talk to individuals. And so this way you'll get to know if someone is your right client or not. And if so, definitely get their contact information and touch base with them and try to set up maybe a coffee meet up with them to understand what it is that their struggles are. Because ultimately, as entrepreneurs, whatever it is that you're servicing, your goal is to help them solve and resolve their issue. And the one thing that we need to know is what are their issues so that you can help them with it. So the only way we know is from them. If we guess, then that doesn't necessarily mean that's what they want. So yeah, definitely you could use this approach to trade shows and for sure your websites. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. I don't see any more questions, but again, please go to www.kimmaya, that's KIMAAYA.com, and download your free copy of that workbook. And please feel free to touch base with me and let me know how that worksheet helps you with nailing down your ideal client. All right, guys, have a wonderful evening. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.